Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Thursday evening. It's good to see you. It is good to be seen by you. And I, who am glad to do the seeing and am glad to be seen, is Bill Sylvie, aka the Dungeon Delver. Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm glad you're here. And if you're new here, and by gum, it looks like a lot of you are. We have picked up a lot of new subscribers in the last few days. Thank you all so very much for clicking that subscribe button. But if you haven't yet, if you haven't already clicked subscribe, please consider doing so. Click the bell icon for notifications. I don't know if that's an automated thing happening over on YouTube these days, so maybe check it out. The Vile Necromancer. It is so good to have you in the audience. As always, Wheeling Dragon, hello. Grandma RPG, Miss Bella Games. We have got just an array of stars in the audience tonight. And I am happy to see almost every single one of you out there. Thank you all for showing up tonight, as it were. And I gotta say, I thank you everybody for I thank you all very much for participating in the vote. I was thinking about doing some painting tonight. I'm probably going to do it this weekend, probably do it Saturday evening, just a very impromptu kind of thing. If you want to stop by and watch me paint on some miniatures, I've ordered some new brushes because mine are all in terrible condition. I've ordered some new I'm going to try something out. I have heard that people get very good results dry brushing with makeup brushes. So I'm going to be trying that out a little bit. I'm excited about doing that. So I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be working on a figure that has sat fallow for many years, and I'm finally going to give her some love. Actually, that's going to be the case of a couple. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to getting into some painting this weekend. But I didn't know I didn't know if I was going to do it tonight or at some point in the future. Hence the vote. And you guys all seem to want the L2. So I'm going to bring you the L2. And so that's going to happen. Resolute Rebellion, howdy to Nashville. You are quite welcome. Thank you for subscribing. Salute, Resolute Rebellion. And I hope things are awesome for you up in Nashville. You're not our only Tennessean out there, actually. We have a lot of people from, it's the volunteer state, isn't it? Have I got that right? Tennessee, the volunteer state? So yes, welcome. What's for dinner tonight, RPG Grandma? Hail Dungeon Minister. Buying makeup brushes an awkward moment. Yeah, I did some. I spent money on Amazon. I shouldn't have, but I just wanted some cheap brushes. And we had some groceries to get, so I picked them up. So there you go. All right. Well, regardless of where you're from, look, whether you are, local to me here, whether you're anywhere around the world, I'm glad you're here. It's good to see you. Winner, chicken dinner for Grandma RPG. So anyhow, yeah, we're going to get into it tonight. We're gonna do some deep reading of L2, the Assassin's Knot. The Assassin's Knot what? The Assassin's Knot to be missed, guys, because this is a great module. We're going to jump right into it. Yeah, I'm going to get some weird suggestions on Amazon. And it's funny because weird suggestions is kind of what led us down this rabbit hole. And I'm going to tell you guys about this. There is someone I connect with over on Twitter. And as I've said before, for purposes of RPG discussion, Twitter is actually a lot of fun. All you people like going, ew, you, and hammering on your keyboards about how you hate Twitter and you'll never use Twitter and blah, blah, blah. Keep it to yourself. I don't care. But I was interacting with someone over on Twitter, and it was it was the strangest discussion that led to it. But the individual and I, we got to talking about how weird stuff ends up in your search history. And I told them, I said, I said, I have a miniature that I'm painting. It's a gynosphinx, and this person didn't know what a gynosphinx was, so there was an arched eyebrow. And I said, it's a female sphinx from Dungeons and Dragons. And I said, let me tell you how I probably ended up on a watch list, or at least some eyebrows raised at Google headquarters, although I hardly think anything could shock them at this point. But yeah, Vile, at least it wasn't Reddit. So I was looking for tanned Egyptian skin tones and shading suggestions for the bare upper torso, let us say, because the miniature I have is au natural. So I'm like, yeah, now I have that in my search history. But it is what it is. Google has heard things even a priest doesn't hear in confession. I think Google's heard things you don't want to hear. Also, Father, I put a slice of bread between my bosoms to pretend I was a toaster. Father Aaron, once again, weird, but not a sin. But anyhow, so that kind of got me in the mind of, hey, I need to finish painting the mini, because I showed the person the mini in question. And I was just like, why don't I paint? I haven't painted in a long time. Let's just get some painting on. And hence me, like, because I've had a little bit of free time between here and there, but we'll move on. But I can tell you one thing: next Thursday, Heidi and Eric are going to make an appearance on the show, and I'm super duper happy about that. Most confessions are, as Fulton Sheen said, about hearing confessions from nuns, like being stoned to death with popcorn. Greetings, Professor. Good to see you. So anyway, speaking of professors, we had an awesome time. Last night, we just kind of let things go. We did talk about D&D a little bit, but Tim M. Holt was on, and that was a lot of fun. We just put our feet up and talked about pretty much everything. It was just one of those shows. It was one of those classic shows, like the shows used to be once upon a time before I decided to be more informative. But anyway, moving right along, let's get on with it. Who's ready for some more L2? Now, before we jump straight into L2, let me just say this. I'm probably not going to do L4 and L5, but I will do L3. Now, I know Len did publish 2 modules before he passed away. You can download those off Dragon's Foot, but I think we're going to get enough of Len's genius out of this read through of the TSR published stuff. I'll consider going further, but we'll see that when we get there. So without further ado, are you guys ready to get into L2? First person to super chat gets something interesting. A virtual high five. Lagrange point. Exactly, the Dave. We're going into orbit, held in a delicate balance between the Earth and the moon, or perhaps the moon and the sun itself. Yes, the ninth circle of L. But I got to do this for the Dave. Rumors spreading around in that Texas town about that shack outside LaGrange. Just let me know if you want to go to that home out on the range. There we go. All right. So let's get into it, guys. If you don't remember, Dungeon Module L2, The Assassin's Knot, is actually a bit of a murder mystery for... I don't think I sang that well enough to get copyright struck, Dungeon Minister. Did any module writers also write novels? Michael, yes, many, many novels. Many novels were written. Tracy Hickman and Margaret Weiss wrote the Dragonlance novels. Ed Greenwood wrote early Forgotten Realms novels. Who else? Let's see. Oh, Gary wrote novels. Now, depending on how you want to say adventure module, J. Eric Holmes had an exemplar dungeon in his edit of the basic rules, and he wrote some works of fiction. But the Dave, how could you love that? How? Gosh, let's see. Yeah, there are a lot of people who wrote D&D modules who also did fiction. Too many for me to remember off the top of my head. The Vile Necromancer, thank you. Vile Necromancer's a working man. He can afford this. Any thoughts on my senior quote? Life is like a game of chess, but unfortunately for you, I am playing AD&D. Young man, I think it's amazing. I think that is a wonderful senior quote. That is great. Beer drinkers and Hellraisers next. That's all the ZZ Top. The kids detracting the substitute. Except I'm the shop teacher, right? I remember once upon a time, our shop teacher, who was the baseball coach at my middle school, one time he tried to teach us by lesson plan and said, technically, this is where you guys should be. And at the end of the class, he bandsawed a textbook in half. This textbook that was like, this was the 1980s, and this book probably was from the early 1970s, which means it followed the design aesthetic from the 50s. And he just to the Motorhead version. I am not doing the Motorhead version of anything. All right, so I love your senior quote, Vile Necromancer. And the only reason I am taking this off the screen is because I need room to see the module. So the Assassin's Knot is a murder mystery, which is a very difficult thing to do in mid to high level D&D because detect lie, ESP, no alignment. There's all sorts of things. But this module is aimed at character levels 2 to 5, where things like that, a shop teacher thing, because things like that are not easily accessible to low-level characters. So let's get into, we have already looked a good bit at this module in an earlier episode of the show. I'm trying to grab the damn. So I'm going to put this over here. I don't need to see my smiling face. I just need to see the module and y'all's comments. So we got into this a little bit. And I think we looked at Garrotten, Alchemist, the Doc. And I remember like not liking the fact that there's like biblical names given in here, some biblical names. So I feel like, let's see, what page were we on? 9. "22 is sticking out in my head for some reason. I know we talked about Bess. I think we stopped at the house of the cleric of Zerbo is where we stopped. So let's pick up with the area 29. And guys, I'm not just going to sit here and read, like, just read this rote. I want to kind of give some impressions on this as we read. And I want you guys, of course, to kind of come back to it and let me know what you think also. Michael Mertzig asks, has Assassin ever been an official class with D&D? Yes. Assassins were introduced actually as neutral characters in Supplement 2 Blackmore, and they were in AD&D, and they were removed from 2nd edition. All right. So we have the Jeweler of Money Changer. Now, what's interesting about her is she's an illusionist, which is fine. She's conscious to the point of paranoia. Oh, no, we already read this. We already talked about this a little bit because I remember talking about how paranoid she was. She has that weird, like, man trap kind of thing that you have to go in. But she has psionics. And her attack mode is only in insinuation, but she has precognition and clairvoyance. Why would she be so paranoid? If she could see you coming. Why would she be so? And I remember Gilmy, the weaponsmith, the alchemist shop with Relba and Hestel. I should have made myself a note, but I also didn't expect this PC to be so unceremoniously shut off. So we've got the guardhouse. There's Golfig, Tesh, and Hester, who's a cleric of Cord, the god of war worshipped by the garrison. And then there's some kind of unremarkable places, a statue of Zerbo, which I actually like stuff like this. Like in T1, there's Gary describes there's carvings of sayings, of parables of St. Cuthbert all over the walls. So you can really get some good flavor for what those gods may be like for your Greyhawk game. So here with the statue of Zerbo, we have some commandments. Go forth to the sea in ships to claim its bounty by fair means. Feed its monsters or rid the seas of them. This is the fortune of the high seas. This translates to, it's okay to catch fish if the fish have a chance to catch you. And then we have the statue of Osprum, goddess of the seas and water travel. Anyone who stops and faces this statue will hear a magical voice say, pause and pray in my temple. The deities of the seas would have your praise and your generosity. Those who do not heed the voice will suffer no consequences. So yeah, it's kind of like an interactive thing. Dungeon Minister, have you ever considered maybe doing something like that in front of the church? You know, you could set something up with like a Raspberry Pi and a motion sensor. I think it would be pretty cool, you know. You could set Saint Beckme out there, put a little speaker behind him. I think you should, and I want to hear your thoughts on that. And finally, we have a statue of Cord, the god of war and the god of weird pattern fabric. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's the minor god Cord de Roy. And upon the base of the statue are etched the words, "Bring not the might of arms to the door of the fortress, lest I strike you down. The threat is not idle. Characters passing within 20 feet of the statue on the way to the castle with drawn weapons, not including pole arms, quarterstaves, and the like, that are normally carried unsheathed, have a 35% chance to invoke a watcher." Well, that's getting there, Dungeon Minister. That's getting there. The Watcher will partially materialize as a 9-foot-tall fighter clad in chainmail and a long red cape, holding a giant broadsword. Broadsword. And then he disappears if you put all your weapons. If not, he follows everybody to the castle. If the weapons are still not put away, the Watcher will call down a small flame strike at a point within 30 feet of the offenders. If the weapons are kept drawn, the next bolt of fire will hit one of the offenders for 40-12. So that's pretty much instant death. So Cord is not screwing around. Cord is not screwing around. So I'm wondering if my reading comprehension is failing me, Dungeon Minister. Are you saying she bothers people who stop to take pictures in front of the church? Like if people stop, she comes out and says, take a picture in front of the church? Or when people stop to take a picture in front of the church, she bothers them? Like, don't do that. Michael Mertig, the paladin of Corduroy, would have silence 15-foot radius except on himself, with that sound would drown out all other noises. She drives people away. Oh man, that's unfortunate. So basically, if you're walking by and you've got a knife in your hand, you could get exploded by Cord. That is, ain't no atheist in AD&D, I tell you what. But this is good because this is good, flavorful stuff. You know, these are definite ideas you can crib. There's going to be temples of Cord, Osprem, and who else was it? Zerbo. Is it Zerbo? Zerbo. All over Greyhawk. Have them function accordingly. That's what I say. But here's the ultimate question. Is she a parishioner? Or is she just a moral busybody? And then we have a doc. So the House of Abraham, Building 2. So Abraham de Farman. That sounds like a joke. So now dig this. As rare as psionics are supposed to be, Vince, in fact, I would say it's more likely. I'll tell you guys, my wife and I attended a local Methodist church for a long time. There was this group of old ladies, and they always sat in. Now, there weren't assigned pews. Our pews, after a while, they did a church room. Father, back me up on this. Is it just me, or does like every church, unless it's historic, have they all gone to that systems flooring, carpet, and chairs that like interlock together, and they're just like event seating, but they're really comfortable event seating, but nonetheless, and they got a little wire basket underneath for hymnals and what? I ask you, taste police lady. Ew. Yes, so you know what I'm talking. I have 5 of them. When my mom's church closed down, I got a bunch of them, and I had a regular D&D group here, and they were out here in my office. Those were the chairs that my D&D group sat in, and they're comfortable for 3-4 hours of AD&D, but I don't game in person now, not here, so they're stacked on a table out in my garage. But we got there a little early one Sunday, and my wife was getting ready for choir, and the kids and I just wanted to see what would happen. And the kids and I went to where they normally sat, and we sat down. My wife was like, after church, she was like, Bill, my God, what are you doing? I was like, we saw some open seats, and we sat down, and he said, Bill, they've probably been sitting there since like 1972. You have completely upset the natural order. And I was like, I gave them something to talk about. And they'll talk about it till they all pass away. Do you remember the time that young man and those 2 children sat in our spot? I just wanted to see what would happen. Yeah, give me the old hymns, RPG Grandma. Lucky. Oh, Bionecromancer. That is so awesome. All right, so let's keep going here. So Abraham is psionic. He has psionic blast. He has mind blank and mental barrier, clairaudience, and detect good and evil. Good Lord. Len Lakofka is just like, I got psionic NPCs walking around my towns. Although I am looking at starting a local in-person game. It'll be once a month, but I'm excited about it. I don't know that we'll play back here in the studio area. No, Vince, we're not getting rid of psionics. I've explained before how we can fix psionics, but I'm not going into it right now. And so we have Glammy. We've had Gilmy, and now we've got Glammy. Len Lakofka bracketing the Tolkien IP on the dartboard there. James the Serving Boy. Balmar, another serving boy. I like that he gives them hit points just in case, you want. Well, how many times can I stab him with a longsword before he dies? Falpir the Stable Boy. Realist the Barmaid Cook. And there are residents at the end. Wilfong, Philmar, Oscar, Captain Basmar, who's an assassin. We have lots of assassins, actually. Yeah, Wilfong's a thief. Philmar is an assassin. Oscar is an assassin. And Captain Basmar is an assassin. Hey, there you go, guys. The Dave is doing his RPG, his Project Sunflower game, which is kind of well, we're going to talk about it when we have the Dave on the show. Intrigues at the end. I mean, I think we've just pretty much set up that there's going to be intrigues at the end. Abraham is likely to test a party with his psionic powers. He likes to know the alignment of the people in the end, but does not want to be obvious about it. Anyone who acts suspicious in front of the innkeeper may also be subject to his clairaudience. Anything that might cause a brawl or mayhem in the inn will not be allowed. A character who tries to break down doors, fight in the common room, or engage in other such foolishness will find the innkeeper on the side of the disturbed customers. Abraham may send for the guard or may join a brawl himself if needed. In a fight, he will use the single sonic blast at once if his current sign. Abraham is not. I mean, imagine this in like a modern game. Abraham has a Mark 19 grenade launcher loaded that he keeps behind the counter. He will use it immediately when a brawl starts. Because that's what that is. And he, by the way, is lawful neutral, so. His friends, he has 4 important friends: the high priest Harper from the church, the theater owner Balmoro, and Martin, the druid. He'll be quick to speak in their defense if necessary. If properly approached, he will tell the party these people can be trusted. Balmoro and Martin will be especially singled out as characters interested in getting rid of the assassins in town. Yeah, there is no say versus a Mark 19. Mark 19, because there are times when you just want to point to someplace and say, see that guy? Screw him and everybody around him. The town. He realizes the town's currently enjoying moderate growth. He suspects Filmar and Oscar of being assassins since his psionic powers have detected that they're evil. He's used clairaudience to listen in below their room. He's failed to detect evil in the assassin Basmar. He does not suspect him, nor has he listened in Basmar's room. Abraham is, in one way, playing a dangerous game. He knows his barkeep, Glammy, is a spy for the mayor. Thus, Abraham will always appear to support the mayor openly when Glammy is present. He does not know the mayor is part of the Assassin's Guild. Exactly. Why throw one grenade when you can shoot 15 of them? Is there a Charles Bronson NPC with psionics? You punk. You punk. Glammy's no longer an adventurer because he took an arrow to the knee. Oh, no, to the arm. He still dabbles in his art, and his teacher is the mayor herself. His book was lost in the adventure that maimed him, thus he is dependent on her for spells. She doesn't charge him for anything for reading her book as long as he keeps her informed about new people in town. He's a spy for the mayor. James Balmar, Thalpier, and Rillis are all loyal to Abraham. They know nothing whatsoever about the town intrigues or even about the residents in the inn. All of them know most customers by name and perhaps by business. If this is obvious, they know the people from the temple. That is Oh, they know them if their business is obvious. Falpier was duped by the gnome Rogan. Wow. Geez, I can't do a Joe Rogan impression. I'm not gonna. You punk. Falpier was duped by Rogan, see the castle, into stealing one of the buttons from Abraham's vest. Oh. It was left at the murder scene to implicate the innkeeper. If Falpier is cleverly questioned by a player character, or if Abraham is arrested, this information may be introduced by the DM, or perhaps the assassin may remember this loose end and try to silence Falpier for good. So Falpier is one of, he's a patsy. Poor kid's a patsy. Wilfong has a 78 card deck that he uses for gambling games. He has a medallion of ESP. He's a superior gambler. Any characters who play with him will probably lose in the long run. He might attempt a pickpocket on a single character who appears drunk, yada, yada, yada. Three of the inn's permanent residents belong to the Assassin's Guild, obviously. While they do not know who murdered the Baron of Brestenford, they do know that someone from their guild did the job. I like that dirty history. Philmar and Oscar share room 6. They drink sparingly and they don't talk to anybody. They don't know who heads the guild, nor do they know that the mayor is associated with it. They might try to rob someone. Basmar is their guild contact, though they do not openly associate with them. When Basmar wants to see them, he ties a bandana to their doorknob. He will meet them just outside town at the bridge that crosses the river near Area D. When Oscar and Philmar want to contact him, they slip a copper piece under his door. And they're the first contacts for a character who wants to hire an assassin. If they're approached with an offer, they will get Basmar, and then Basmar does the thing, yada, yada, yada. We have some art there. I love this. I love to see little pieces of art where they're like breaking the image. It kind of pops out like that. I like that. And then we have the inn layout itself. Basmar is only contact to the castle is Sangster. He doesn't know who the boss is, nor does he know the mayor is connected with the guild. He doesn't even know that Glammy is the mayor's spy in the inn. If the party begins to ask too many questions, Basmar may arrange for one of them or contact to be assassinated. Chances of success are good if the party does not post guards or set traps or fails to find the secret doors in their rooms. Alternately, the assassins could import some ruffians from another area to ambush the party during their investigations. The number, plan, and capabilities of such a group is up to the DM. Information gained from such an encounter should be minimal. Priska the Fool may often be encountered near the inn. He's not allowed inside, and his only friends in town know that he is not what he seems. So, Priska. So we have, the room layouts and whatnot. Always important right here, guys. The House of Abraham's Board of Fair. These are always useful. Like, if you've got like a 12th level party and they stop at an inn and you're like, it's just a simple rough traveler's inn, grab your copy of L2 to tell them what they've got for sale, It's not terribly detailed, not as detailed as, say, the Inn of the Welcome Wench or even the Guild House in Keep on the Borderlands. But there it is. If you need some inspiration. So we have your typical inns stuff. We have where Foulpier and Rillis and other folk crash. And of course, there's secret crawlways and whatnot. The Church of Osprum. So at the Church of Osprum, we have Harper, he's not a Harper, that's his name, Harper. He's old and senile. He's essentially harmless and highly eccentric. He'll cast a spell at the drop of a hat, though he'll never actually harm anyone. He may glyph a piece of cheese he wants for lunch, send someone on a quest for a bar of soap, or plane shift away on some caprice. These actions are far from lawful, but Osprum moves in mysterious ways, and a potion of longevity would do much to reverse Harper's condition if one could be found. I think that's kind of sweet. The idea of sending someone on a casting quest on a party member. I need a shave. I need a bar of soap. Zot. I must go get Harper a bar of soap. The canon decides church policy. He says the primary responsibility of the church is protecting the waters and looking after the worshipers of the goddess. He will not allow the church to be drawn into intrigues unless it is directly threatened. Harmon, can I tell you something, buddy? You might want to revise that policy. I'm just saying. Basil, don't mention the war. The curate takes care of the actual administration of the church grounds. He also spends much of his time looking out for Harper and apologizing for Herman's brusque manner. He has much to do with the smooth operation of the church. And Lothar of the Hill People is the Assassin's Guild spy here. Dungeon Minister, that's your policy. You use quest for a bar of soap. Dungeon Minister on a Wednesday afternoon. Pie Jesu Domine, go get me a Subway sub. Let's see. So he poses as the crippled groundskeeper. He prefers to stay out of the public eye since his wound caused the loss of his left ear, his left eye, and left him. Very funny, Len. With a hard scar where the left side of his face was mangled by a flail. He's high in the guild hierarchy and a dangerous adversary. He stole the high priest's holy symbol for Tellish and may engineer additional problems for the party. No one knows his real purpose, and he will not risk suspicion unless the situation is critical. Get that Tim Hortons up there, Dungeon Minister. So we have Harper's stats. Gives him an intelligence 14 and a wisdom 16. But I mean, if he's gone batty, then that I would maybe tweak that down a little bit. But I mean, you know, he's got all what you would expect a low-level cleric would have, and then he's got dispel magic and locate object. Right on. And then it's got some DM choices, like there we have a nice little map. This is nice, particularly when I'm doing read-throughs, because we have the map and you guys can get an idea what the place looks like, you know, just looking at the map there. Have a lovely evening, Wheeling Dragon. Thank you for hanging out with us. It was wonderful, as always, to see you. So you can roll a d8 there and see which fourth level and fifth level spells you might get. A commune spell should not be allowed to spoil the mystery. Harper may misquote questions, fumble answers, and be a lot of fun to run in the process. He does not harm others, and this includes members of the Assassin's Guild. Also remember that Osprey is a sea goddess and doesn't care much about what happens on land. And then there's Harmon and his spells, and Basil the Curate and his spells, and then Lothar the Assassin. And then we've got some adepts there. Time, Samster, Wilcox, Pingbo, and Brait. And first level acolytes, Frunk, Alster, Warman, and Latoul. The church and the rectory, hell, I'd like to kill him. I only know of Tim Hortons from hearing from people in Canada. I think that's like your Canadian secret up there. But we have the church and the rectory. And there's two different kinds of services here. One to Osprem, the goddess of water travel, and services to Zerbo, god of life in the seas, are on Friday. They begin promptly at 8 p.m. And there's a graveyard, and you might run into certain people there. I like this bit. During the business hours, Harmon or Basil will handle church business in an office in the church building. Harmon will charge the standard prices for all spells and services. He will not give any discounts. In God we trust, all others pay cash. Again, I've never been. We have Dunkin' and Krispy Kreme down here, so he will not give any discounts, but will say Harper is too busy in prayer, performing a ceremony, resting, etc. Harmon cannot be bribed or bullied to let anyone meet the high priest. The curate, on the other hand, will be more reasonable and might arrange an interview. He'll try to shelter Harper, but under a reasonable prodding, he will see if the old man can be disturbed. If a price for services is agreed on, the payment must be made immediately. Dunkin' Donuts down here is weird. They have kind of flip-flopped a little bit on their foods. Like there was a while like when Dunkin' was selling like these pizza sandwich kind of deals, which it's just like really strange. I think of Dunkin' as a place that's open from like 5 o'clock in the morning until like 9:30, and then I don't think about it again. Like, oh, it's 5 o'clock. I'm going to swing through Dunkin' Donuts and get a hot meal. That's not what I think about. And it's always weird, like if the wife or the kids get craving for donuts, to go there midday, because they ain't making donuts all day. You're getting what didn't sell in the morning, So you like look out on the racks and there's hardly anything there. There's the homeless dude using Wi-Fi on his government doled out smartphone, and he's been there all day. And like that's it. I'm like, you guys really want a donut? I'll go get you some Entenmann's. How about that? Anyway, so to move on. Now, Wawa is awesome. We have Wawa all the way down here in Florida, and I will stop the damn car to get some Wawa. Wawa is a deli that has a gas station attached to it. That is how I view Wawa. But anyway, I digress. So Lothar has spy holes into Harper's office in the main sanctuary. He'll always try to get an ear, eyeful, and report anything interesting to the guild. If present, he will quietly go to his room after a stranger meets the high priest. He will wait for a period before going to the castle. He'll never go to the castle during daylight hours. He always asks for Tellish when he goes to report. Harper's a bit senile. Well, we've seen that. He's very forgetful and impetuous in his daily actions. Yet he's the only high priest for miles around. No one wants him dead, since without him, slain characters cannot be raised. When officiating at a service, he makes numerous small insignificant errors that make Harmon and Basil wince. Father Aaron, are you familiar with Dave Allen, the Irish comedian? He has some funny, and I don't think too horrible or controversial jokes about the church. Like when he was a kid, he thought they were saying when his grandfather was being buried, that the prayer was unto the Father and the Son and into the hole he goes. And so he repeated that like in church and got the beating of his lifetime from the nun. And unto the Father and the Son and into the Holy goes. Anyway, let's see. So instead of the normal fees, he has 4 big wheels mounted on the wall of his office. Dungeon Minister, I have found the way to set the tithes. I have found the way to set the tithes. Listen to this. Each wheel is numbered 0 through 9. He'll spin the wheels to fix the price of the spell. 4 wheels for the 4th and 5th level spells, 0 to 99.99. 3 wheels for the 2nd or 3rd level, 0 to 999, and 2 wheels for a 1st level, 0 to 99. The wheels will set the price for the day. It will not change until tomorrow. Balancing the books for the church can be very difficult for Harmon, who has to make end meet. If arrangements are made through Harmon, he'll charge the standard rate. All payments are in advance, of course. Oh my gosh. He go to breakfast with his clergy and then cast any requested spell after the meal. Each day, he will probably cast his 5th level spell before going to sleep, though he usually keeps other spells. This can often be very dramatic. If the 5th level spell is Flame Strike or Insect Plague, he would never use it to cause harm to anyone. Thus, he does not bring an insect plague on the church or on the crops or flame strike some poor soul walking back. Well, it's good to know, Len. Thank you. Wheel of Tithes. Hey, Doc Flamingo. So bodies waiting for a raised dead spell will be put in a side room in the church building. Characters who need curing must come around at an appointed time. Sick people may not sit around the church and wait for cures. Mage's Musings, good to see you. And then there's Lothar, that son of a guns. And then we have the theater. The theater. Whatever happened to the theater? But let us continue. So the theater, an ally against the Assassin's Guild, Balmorrow the Bard, has been trying to uncover the guild. Just picture being overly dramatic. There is an Assassin's Guild in this town. You must help me uncover the rascals and bring it low. That's wonderful. How can you do Shakespeare? I'm not acting. I'm begging you for assistance. They'll kill the lot of us. There's a comedian out of Boston. Is one of those guys I could never understand why the guy didn't end up like huge. His huge career. His name's Steve Sweeney. And he talked about, he was in a couple of movies, just had like supporting roles in movies. And he talked about going out and trying to make it as an actor in Los Angeles. And he said, you know, I took a lot of acting courses when I got out into Los Angeles, you know. So I would go to acting workshops and they taught me how to project my voice properly. So I could say things like, of course, I'm here to apply for food stamps. And what do you mean you don't buy blood plasma here? Oh, fun stuff. But anyway, so we have Balmorrow. He's very popular with the people in town. He provides with the inn one of the few entertainments in the small village. They get like second-run movies there, you know. For this reason, coupled with Balmorrow's considerable ability to defend himself, the Assassin's Guild has made few direct moves to oust him. However, Tellish, the chief assassin, is trying to discredit Balmorrow by making it appear that he might be an assassin, hoping that some avenging character will eliminate him without getting the guild involved. And his friends are the druid Martin and Abraham, the innkeeper. Balmorrow is friendly with Harper, the high priest at the church, but he doesn't trust the priest's eccentric habits. His staff includes Willis, and we'll find out what he's talking about And Phyllis, an illusionist magic user team, Phyllis Familiar, a crow named Black Beauty, and 3 stagehands, thieves named Martin, Wilbur, and Arthur. They're all loyal to him and vice versa. And then we have character details. Now, Balmoro is a bard. Okay. My dude has 60. I'm sorry, I'm Balmoro. I'm single-handedly cleaning up the Assassin's Guild. He's got a new spell, which we'll look at the right point, Guardian Blade. He's got Entangle, Detect Magic, Fairy Fire, Charm Person or Mammal, Heat Metal, he +2 chain, a Ring of Protection from Charming. He's got a Blink Dog. He's got a Blink Dog. Winky the Blink Dog. I'm serious, guys. Balmoro and Winky could be the end of the Assassin's Guild. It spends most of its time in the house, the theater basement, and the secret passage between them. Probably all at once. How do you even? I don't know. I mean, Balmoro is chaotic neutral. Blink dogs are lawful good. That is like literally, I don't know. So Willis, the illusionist, he's got some spells. Phyllis, the magic user, she's got some spells. Black Beauty, the crow. The stagehand thieves, they're all chaotic neutral, but they're friends. The theater. And then you can have some fun running the theater, running the house. It's not as much fun as the church. And then we come to the castle. You know what? I want to look. Hang on a second. Let's look at. So his longsword is a guardian blade. See new magic. Let's check that out. All right. Yeah. Meh. A displacer leash. Wow. 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 I'm only upset because I didn't think of it myself first. Guardian Blade. It doesn't normally glow. Its chief function is to lie upon or beside the sleeping character and warn of approaching danger. It can detect enemies as a wand of enemy detection with a 2-inch sphere. That's 20 feet, by the way, guys. Upon detecting an enemy, the Guardian will flash a single burst of light, telepathically alert its owner, and go out. This power can be used but once per day and will operate continuously. It may be used while the character is awake and moving, but once used, it will not function again for 24 hours. 1,600 XP, 8,000 gold. And then a Ring of Protection versus Charming, which we read about that a little bit. And that is a special limited charge ring based on the 8th level spell Certain Spell Immunity, +9 versus Beguiling Charm Suggestion, +7 versus Command Domination Fear Hold Scare, +5 versus Gaius and Quest. It operates automatically to ward its wearer, and the protection from each charge lasts a full 16 turns. That's 160 minutes, or 2 hours, 40 minutes. It protects only the wearer and cannot be recharged. It may have a maximum of 12 charges. So when it gets hit, it does its thing. And this is a new, we might as well look at this since we're here. Let's see. Oh, I gotta. Speaking of basic and expert, I want to tell you guys about something here in just a minute. But let's look at the cloak of etherealness. This apparently ordinary cloak will allow the user to fade briefly into the ethereal plane up to 3 times a week. It is activated by 1 segment of concentration. No verbal command is necessary. The character just begins to fade. The process takes 5 full segments, during which time the user cannot move but may defend against attacks. While fading into the ether, the character can be struck by any weapon or spell. At the end of the 5 segments, the character is wholly in the ether and thus invisible on the prime material plane and immune to most attacks. While ethereal, the user can move at the rate of 15 feet per segment in any direction, up, down, and can bypass walls, ceilings, magical doors, magical traps, doors, etc. At the end of 3 segments, the user will fade back into the prime material plane. The cloak cannot be activated again for 1 full turn and may be activated only 3 times in any 1 week. While in the ether, there's a 1% chance of an ethereal encounter which may follow the user at the DM's discretion. A user who would rematerialize inside a material object is trapped on the ethereal plane. The cloak can be used but 12 times, after which the item becomes non-magical. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. There are some. Yes, whips are in first edition AD&D. That they absolutely are. I was looking at that the other day, in fact. The hobgoblins, some of them were armed with whips, but they were then burned alive by ball lightning before they could do anything about it. So there's some pre-roll characters, but we've kind of gotten far ahead of things. Garaton, Osprem. The castle. Have fun storming the castle. Phase spiders. Yeah, I think phase spiders I would think could follow you. If you want to fade. Oh my gosh. Anyway, we'll look at the castle. We'll see if there's anything interesting. Now, one thing I do like about the castle So if you're using Cloak of Etherealness to go into a sleeping person's bedroom when they're alone, do you still need to consult the assassination table? You still have to become solid to kill them. So yes. Michael, psionics is there's like an entire episode worth of information about how psionics work. But long story short, you trigger your psionic power and it functions like a spell and exhausts psionic points, a psionic discipline. A psionic attack, remember, the only psionic attack that can work on a non-psionic is psionic blast. And basically, characters have to make a saving throw, and if they fail, a percentage table is consulted as to what happens to them depending on their brain power. Psionic abilities, again, they happen outside of combat. It's like an instantaneous thing in game. In reality, it can take minutes to resolve psionic combat. So if it ever comes up, I tend to put them in regular combat as spells, but it really hasn't come up in a long time. Hey, Greg Myers, welcome back. We're just kind of taking a look at the Assassin's Knot here. The Assassin's Knot, here. So anyway, the castle has some interesting stuff, because now this is a handy list. Like, again, even if you're never going to run this module, here's a whole host of fighting men you can use. And then there's how many you'll find and where, the commanders, and then we have a key to the castle itself. They can go to the Lord Mayor. And essentially, it's a fairly staid, keyed place. There's the lower castle level. But ultimately, and I kind of want to get to this, because we could look at a dozen different things in this module. But remember, this is a murder mystery. Take care, Dungeon Minister. Love to see you around. This is a murder mystery. It's not a slay this person and the adventure is over. It's not a remove this treasure and the adventure is over. The best you can hope for is to try and get Abraham to give you some indications about who he thinks the assassins are and start making plans to go after them. So all of these areas aside, Len kind of sums it up right here. The climax of the module will probably be a raid on the castle to disrupt the guild and destroy Telish's plans, and to capture or kill him. If the players are close to the answer but aren't strong enough or devious enough to get in the castle, the DM may allow them a chance to stop Telish on the way to Restonford. Failing this, the party can get a message to Peltar before Andrella can be assassinated. They may be able to prevent the assassination. The DM should stage an exciting and challenging conclusion to the adventure if the party has been reasonably successful. If the DM has a copy of L1, the final confrontation with the canon Qualton may be arranged. Such a conclusion would certainly use the details of the major character provided in L1, as well as the map of Restonford Castle. As a general rule, the rewards the characters earn from this adventure should be geared to their success. A maximum of 1 level of advance is recommended, though some characters may be close to a second. Finally, the DM should give some thought to the effects of this adventure on the town of Garrotten. If the party succeeds, some other NPC will have to take over as mayor. If they fail, Arnis will probably move to Restonford with Telish, and someone else will have to take over in Garrotten. The DM should use the outcome of this module to set up future adventures. The torture chamber of Dr. Sadism. So that's that's kind of in an, I mean, that kind of sums up running the module in its totality. Because again, there's not a, you know, find the MacGuffin and then everything is revealed, right? It's more like, can your characters sort out what they're supposed to be doing? Or even draw the right conclusions? So it's even if you just want to ignore the intrigue and everything, it's a good locale to set other adventures in. It's not a great module. Yes, it has cool NPCs. RPG Grandma hits the nail on the head. It has cool NPCs. And the castle crumbles. Yeah. You don't get cool stuff like that. It definitely can Mage's Musings. But undoing the assassin's knot is not a simple case of they're in this dungeon, go to this room, this room, this room, this room, get past some traps, get past this puzzle, and the final boss assassin is right in there. It's not that kind of module. So that's what you're after. This might not be your speed. Me, I'm a dungeon crawl guy by and large. It's what I like to do. So I would say I might mix it up a little bit. Maybe it's Hexter cultists or something like that. Something you can get your teeth into. But this is more like a Father Catafel type murder mystery, you know, and it's just a little. It's a little not 100% to my taste, but it is a fantastic locale with some real gonzo curveballs like the Blink Dog, like the Psionic Innkeeper, and the Psionic Money Lender. So I don't dislike it. Like if I was going to grade this module, I would give it a B-. You know, all the points in the world for location description, NPC creation, setting the mood, setting the tone. But I almost feel like there's better fantasy systems if you're running a fantasy murder mystery. But what really saves this are the NPCs and the locations. May or may not be the name of your current cleric. That's awesome. You've never played the Assassin's Knot? Yeah. I mean, I knew someone who had it when I was a kid, but I never played it. Now, our next deep dive, I think we are going to get into L3, which I actually have a physical copy of. And I don't mean a physical copy like a reprint of. Is it in my Silver Anniversary box set? Let me see. I can't remember if I keep it in here or if I keep it on the shelf. So Wizards of the Coast published this thing in 1999. It was released under the TSR Impressum, but by 99, Wizards was moving in on them. Yes, there it is. And so this box set has a Holmes Basic rule set, which is a reproduction. All these are reproductions. It has a copy of Keep on the Borderlands. So you can actually play a Dungeons and Dragons game with what you got in this box. But it also has Ravenloft. And these are pretty rare, incomplete condition, guys. So if you find one and somebody doesn't know what they have, snap it up. And it has the G modules, the pastel G modules, G1, G2, and G3, which I have in here. I'm not going to pull them all out. When I got mine, I had 2 copies of G2 in it. There was no copy of G1. Someone was kind enough to trade me for a copy of G1. But it also has Michael, just humans. Humans can be psionic. I think maybe humans and half elves. I haven't looked at it in a while. But it also had this. This is L3. This is Deep Dwarven Delve. And there were 5,000 sets of this box set released, which means there were 5,000 copies of Deep Dwarven Delve that came out. So the story goes, when WotC was digging through TSR's offices in Lake Geneva, they found the notes for Deep Dwarven Delve. And they reached out to Len Lakofka and said, hey, we would like to publish this in the 25th anniversary D&D set, our 25th anniversary Dungeons and Dragons commemorative set. Will you finish it? And he said, Absolutely. So they sent him back his notes. And so he then started to complete the module, got it completed, and sent it back to Wizards of the Coast. Wizards of the Coast employees lost what he'd FedExed them. He said, okay, I'll do it again. And they said, no, we'll just publish what we have. So whatever Len had in mind for L3 is not that module. And we'll never know now. So there is an L3. How accurate it is to what Len had in mind, we'll never know because, of course, Len passed away. But we'll take it. That I think will be our next deep dive module-wise. And then we'll get into some other stuff. Maybe we'll deep dive, I don't know, Mordenkainen's Fantastic Adventure, Isle of the Ape. That is correct, Mage. He did he did L4 and L5. We talked about those at the beginning of the show. But anyway, I did want to mention something cool that came up today. I don't like saying, hey, I saw something neat and I bought it. Plebeians. But I did. I was so happy to find this. I saw a fairly distressed copy of the expert set on the RPG Auctions Facebook group, and it had a buy it now that was down in my affordable neighborhood. Yoink! I snagged that set. I absolutely snatched that set up, and I was so happy to get it. My big ups to the seller. But yeah, I mean, the box is fairly clapped out, but that's okay. That's okay. Right above that, someone was selling, I don't know if it was at the same time or I just looked for expert set, searched the group to see if there were others. And there was another one that was like in like crispy, like insanely good condition. And the bidding at that point was like over $250. I'm like, no, man, no. But I was really, really happy to see that. So I treated myself. And speaking of treating myself, this is not really treating myself as much as it is a piece has been put in place. I received the Greyhawk folio set that I purchased on eBay today, and it is in marvelous condition. It's a very nice set. Doesn't even have a lot of... My copy that I have back here in my office has a fairly worn spine. I don't know if you guys can see that. No, you can't because of reflections. So yes, I am keeping this in a poly bag. So you can see there, that's not a light artifact. The spine actually is that whitened. But this is my folio edition of the World of Greyhawk. But I got one today. I got one today for reasons that will become clear. Reasons that will become clear. Mage's Musing says, I'm currently phasing psionics. So since a lot of people have been talking about psionics. Look, psionics is eminently fixable in AD&D. Here's what you do to fix psionics in AD&D. Get your pencils ready. Step 1, put it into combat. Put it on the same phase that the phase begins of initiative. I roll a 2, you roll a 6. My psionics begin on the 6 segment. Yours begin on the 2nd segment. Yeah, don't use them. I'm saying if you're going to use them. Step 2, get rid of cell adjustment. Cell adjustment is completely borked. Cell adjustment is God mode, invulnerability mode, IDD, QD, degreelessness. Do not use cell adjustment. Step 3. And if you've got to come up with a different system, do it. But just don't use cell adjustment. Step 3, you just increase those points recharge times. This whole, you can still regain like 10 points a turn, even when you're walking and doing strenuous. No. If you're fighting, especially if you're, I would say if you're casting other spells, you are not regaining spell points or psionics points. And then the fourth fix, and this is less of a fix and more of an admonishment. Absolutely, positively use psionic encounter chances. And if that person is already a spellcaster, if they're using psionic-like spells, and there's a whole list of them in the Dungeon Master's Guide, you do it. Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously, they're going to be statistically rare. But when they come up, they can be pretty broken. So whatever system you want to come up with for psionic point recharging, do it, but not by the book. I mean, look, I just want to show you guys this, because this is bonkers. This is utterly and completely bonkers. Let me share this with you guys. Now, granted, Len did not have anyone with this ability, but it can come up, and it has come up. So, cell adjustment. By means of psionic attunement to the cells of an injured creature, the possessor of this ability is able to heal wounds at a strength point cost of 1 hit point of wounds healed, or cure disease at a strength point cost of 20 for mild early stage disease and up to 70 for advanced stage disease or plague or leprosy. The maximum healing ability depends on the class of the character and his or her level of mastery. I mean, look at that. And that's anybody. So if you're, 7th level, 7 times 5 is 30, that's 35 free healing. I just think it's completely bonkers. Yes, including self one. And Damien, that's an actual, I like that. But yeah, where is it? This is the end of the discussion of disciplines. I mean, there's neat stuff that psionics can do, but yeah, sleeping is 24 points per hour. Resting and meditating is 12 points per hour. Walking and like activities, 3 points per hour. Maybe I was thinking it was turns. That's not that bad. So I might just drop it to resting and meditating, or sleeping is the only way to get it back. It's where they got it in the new Star Wars. Yeah, there's a lot of bonkers stuff in there. I personally, I think, I didn't even have that on the screen. Sorry, guys. But yeah, I mean, there's just stuff in there. You just, as a DM, you got a red line, I think. But the fix, the big fix, in my opinion, is putting it in regular combat. And the first time you psychic crush a psionic character, it's like, but I didn't get a chance. Were you walking around with Tower of Iron Will up? Tell your players, obviously, if you're doing that. But we can have a live stream that's just all about psionics. I have had them before, but those are my big issues with psionics. Now, they can be pretty cool as ultimate fallback weapons. Like, you know, there's so much talk about the spells, for example, that Loth can cast. She has like 166 psionic points. She can deliver 3 psionic blasts before she touches her spells. So she ain't no bending the F around, guys. Oh, I like that dirty history. That's pretty cool. So yeah, that's what I recommend you do, and it makes psionics usable. You just treat them like spells. It's a different form of spell casting. I mean, we have clerical magic, we have druidical magic is slightly different because you always need holly and you always need mistletoe. And it's different from magic user spells. So I have no problem with psionics on the whole. I just think that there are some malfunctions in the psionic system that make it untenable for D&D that you can fix. Does the PC have to have psionics to be attacked by a psionic? Yes, if we're talking about psionic attack modes. In insinuation, ego whip, psychic crush. Let me see here. I want to get these. I want to get these right. Yeah, mind thrust, ego whip, id insinuation, and psychic crush. The person that you're attacking must have psionics. Psionic blast is the only thing that works against the non-psionic. Otherwise, it's just someone looking at you intently and doing this. Now, disciplines. Once you get into stuff like domination, hypnosis, molecular agitation, which is a particularly nasty one. Gosh, what else? Molecular manipulation, mass domination. telepathy, which can be weaponized. Those things can all affect the non-psionic. If you want to know the description of those, just because I'm on a roll, but I'm probably going to wrap up after this. So here we go. Sonic blast is a wave of brain force, and in effect, much like stunning news to the mind. It is a costly attack and point expenditure, but it is the only psionic attack which can affect non-psionic creatures. The attack is cone-shaped, a cone-shaped wave of force, a 1/2 inch diameter at its source and 2 inches diameter at its terminus, 6 inches distance. Mind thrust is a stabbing attack which seeks to short the synapses of the defender. The attack is individual. Ego whip attacks by the ego, either by feelings of inferiority and worthlessness or by superiority and megalomania. The attack affects but a single creature. Id insinuation seeks to loose the uncontrolled subconscious mind of the defender, pitting it against the superego. The attack affects all psionically aware creatures in a 2x2 area, and psychic crush is a massive assault on all neurons in the brain, attempting to destroy all by a massive overload of signals. This attack mode affects but one defender. If it is used, the user may defend only with Thought Shield or have no defense at all. So it can be very cool. You just gotta fix things with it. I don't know. I think there was some psychic crush going on in that one scene in Scanners, and you guys know what I'm talking about. Yeah, there you go, Daniel. But anyway, so that about does it for Thursday night, guys. Thank you all for being here. Oh, Michael Dale, I'm sorry. I'm wrapping up. I'm sorry, brother. We finished our look at L2, and then, I'm so sorry. But we'll be back tomorrow night. We're going to play Classic Gamma World. We've got a good group, of course. Connect will be here, hopefully. We've got Yang Yan Zhao, Doomsword Deathmaster, Kevin. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I hope you'll tune in for that. And then Saturday, like I said, just kind of an impromptu fun paint stream. I want to thank the Vile Necromancer for his generous super tonight. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. I absolutely do. But yeah, tomorrow night. And I don't want to spoil anything. We might get a 5th for Gamma World soon. Not immediately, but soon. And if that person's going to play, I'm so excited about it. And I hope you guys will be too. You honestly thought L2 was a Lagrange point reference. Now, modules have codes. But our next module deep dive, which I don't know when we're going to get into it, but our next module deep dive is going to be Deep Dwarven Delve, and I hope you guys will join us for that. Much thanks for everyone being here tonight. It was a good amount of fun, but then all of the streams are good and all the streams are fun. If you haven't already, please do click the subscribe button, click the bell icon for notifications. And if you want to support the show, hey, I took the banner away. I didn't mean to. If you want to support the show, you can support us on Patreon, or you can support us via YouTube memberships, which is either over here or over here. I don't know where it's at on your screen, but it's somewhere down here. For as little as $1 or $2 a month, you can support the show. But at the $10 level, that's right, there's a $10 level monthly, you will receive a miniature, that is to say, short, small number of encounters, first edition AD&D adventure, and on time from now on. So I hope you guys will consider doing that. But whatever you do, please share the video around, tell your friends about it, like and subscribe, And I will see everyone next time. But until I do, you're all going to have to go out on your own. Maybe group up for defense against the owl bears. Peace.
Have you seen my owl bear? Here's to all the weirdos everywhere in the woods and in the air. Have you seen my owl bear? Should I shave off all my hair? Bobs are all around. Some live in tunnels underground. Some are fat, some are rich, some are sleeping in a ditch. Can you ride a crooked horse without a saddle way off course? Naked as a toad, all the way to Smoky Joe's. Have you seen the little creep driving fast in his little green Jeep? He smells like fish and brandy, but his rotten teeth look dandy. Take me to the show, I don't care if fast or slow. From action flicks to dancing dicks, just take me to the show.